So about this speech today, I'd like to focus on the basics. This is about how a teacher can foster a student-centered learning experience that will make use of the internet as a platform for learning. There are several advantages to a teacher-centered classroom that perhaps may be most familiar to all of us. One is, it's easy to standardize, and the cost to implement it is pretty efficient. And with a teacher-centered approach, the educational benefit tends to be more of a product and not always a process. The debate between process and product-oriented education shows no signs of abating. However, a careful application of educational online software, Moodle, for example, can assist teachers in fostering a more process-oriented approach for student-centered learning. How many of you have already heard about Moodle? Just a quick show of hands. One. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Tom.
Two, a couple of you. All right. Well, what is it? Well, for one thing, and I'll say this loud enough for the staff workers who have to balance budgets, it's free. It's open source. It's a classroom management platform. And it requires a good server, which I'm sure you have at Otaru Commerce University, a national university, probably has some of the best servers available. And a room with internet access, such as what we have here. So already, this university has a winning list. Well, what is Moodle designed for? Well, it is designed for using sound pedagogical principles to help educators create effective online learning communities. Moodle can be downloaded and used on any computer you have, Mac or Windows. Yet it can scale from a single teacher site, which is where we'll start, to a 200,000 student university, which we do not have at Hokusei. But you write this down, www.moodle.org. That's your homework assignment. Okay, we're going to proceed. Well, you might want to ask yourself, if it's so important or makes these big claims of being more on the process side, not the product side, it must have some kind of philosophical underpinnings. So what is Moodle's educational philosophy? This is a question that every educator should ask when considering the use of computers in a classroom. For Moodle, there are 4 points. 1 is constructivism. 2 is constructionism. 3 is social constructivism. And 4 is connected and separate learning. Either you learn by yourself or you learn together. Constructivism refers to people actively making or assembling new knowledge as they interact with their environment. Constructionism refers to learning that is particularly effective when something is made for others to experience. This can be a spoken sentence, an internet posting, or a painting. Number 3, social constructivism is when a social group makes things for one another, a small culture of shared artifacts with shared meanings develops during that process. And connected and separate learning. Separate behavior is when someone tries to remain objective and factual and tends to defend their own ideas using logic to find holes in their opponent's ideas. A candidate defending a master's thesis or a PhD situation would be a classic example of that. Connected behavior is a more empathetic approach that accepts subjectivity, trying to listen and ask questions in an effort to understand the other point of view. And this might be a faculty meeting on a very good day. Constructed behavior is a synthesis. This is when a person is sensitive to both of these approaches and is able to choose either of them as appropriate to the current situation. So from now, I shall talk about using Moodle from two standpoints. One as an individual, as an individual teacher, and second, as a director of an English language program at a university. Using Moodle as an individual teacher within a larger environment has many advantages. In my case, before I used Moodle, I had a teacher-fronted classroom where students used books, notebooks, workbooks, and I also used video occasionally and made handouts to go with each video. Such handouts included a summary of the video segment, a closed caption text presented within a closed exercise, and a set of WH questions confirming comprehension and an invitation to infer what might happen next. When the class was in its pre-Moodle teacher-fronted format, it was noticed that some students became bored because the class moved too slowly, while others could not keep pace. Making small groups was a failure because eventually the same people who did all the work stopped working. Have you ever experienced that yourself as a student or as a teacher? You know, seen this just happen and unfold right before you. After the class was Moodleized, students could work at their own pace. And here are a few examples of what was done. Moodle can do hot potatoes. This is another internet software package. First, have you ever heard of hot potatoes? Great. Well, for those of you who haven't, hot potatoes can do about 5 things. It can do crossword puzzles, it can do multiple choice tests, true, false, multiple choice. It can do close exercises. It can do reordering sentences. You can take a sentence, break it up into words, then by using your mouse to click on a word or a phrase, reassemble the sentence. That's hot potatoes. And it can also do matching. Now, within the Moodle environment, it has a quiz platform as well, and it can do many of the same things. I was a hot potatoes user before I was a Moodle user, and the neat thing about Moodle is that it can include your library of hot potatoes quizzes and store student data in the Moodle database. And that is a big plus, because hot potatoes by itself is great for review testing and review quizzing, but it's pretty hard to store the data into a data file. Moodle does that for you. So I started my first Moodle class using a lot of hot potatoes because that's what I knew. Okay. The unfortunate thing about hot potatoes is that it's no longer being updated by its authors, which is too bad. That being said, it is still of great use for learning within Moodle. Here we have a hot potatoes crossword puzzle, and it was designed to help students learn vocabulary. Vocabulary is essential for the video that we were studying. That included content words and names. Students could also review vocabulary by reading a hot potatoes close exercise. The scores are recorded in each of the students' Moodle account. And the neat thing about a hot potatoes close is that, here we go. It's not just a text feature, but you can insert a JPEG with the target words that pops up where you want it to, and then the students see the words, read the sentences, and then think at their own pace where they have to type in the word. Now at this point, here we go, yep. And on occasion, I would actually upload a segment of the video so the students, well, first we would, view the video either from a VHS or a DVD in class for the day, and then maybe some of the more salient parts of the video were then put into QuickTime format and linked to a page within Moodle for students to see. Moodle can help teachers organize their materials so that students can move through the online material at their own pace, go back or recurse and review when necessary, or skip ahead to other links on the page. So at this point, we say goodbye to those students who are bored in class because the teacher is controlling the pace. Okay? At this point, we reach out to the students within the class who don't have such a good grip on the vocabulary, whose grammar level for handling the material may not be as strong as others. This Moodle environment is available both on the school campus and also can be accessed from the students' homes. Now then, there's a newer version of Moodle coming out. This is all based on Moodle 1.9. Moodle 2.0 will have, an iPhone application so that you can really take advantage of subway time and bus time, right?